This video is an update on a topic from a previous video about the pressure to be better. I mentioned how visualizing and trying to boost my mood didn't work, or at least it was temporary before reality kind of stomped back in. Wanting to be better but not knowing how to go about it, not meeting my expectations or seeing improvement, and that voice inside that tells me how many different ways I will still fail. Spending too much time thinking about the future instead of working on today and changing the way I set goals in smaller steps. So first off, I want to acknowledge how hard it can be and encourage you all to keep trying different things and don't beat yourself up if it doesn't work. We all have our own perspective of things, and that is the reality for us until we change it. When and how that happens is individual. It will be different for everyone, depending on your experience. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how I ended up making some progress with this. It can be hard for a number of reasons. We get in our own way all the time, and that doesn't mean it always has to be that way. Small changes can make a difference too. Lower the barrier to entry and put first things first. Sometimes it's just the basics that we forget about. My example that shed some light onto this for me is not wanting to go to the gym. So for the past few weeks, maybe even months, I haven't been looking after myself. I've been eating to try and fill a hole that can't be filled. As a side note, I know the cause of this behaviour, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with, honestly. I also stopped exercising or going to the gym. And before COVID happened, I was actually making some really great progress. But boy, did that get blown out. Anyway, to bring it back to how small things can make big changes, I had been thinking about how hard and futile it was to try and get back to the gym. It really was. I wanted to go, but I didn't want to make the effort. I was just stuck in my chair, in my bed, wherever it was that I happened to be that day. So I decided one day, I think last week, to have a shower in the afternoon, and a thought popped into my head. I'll get dressed into my gym clothes and see how I feel. Weird, I know. So I did. Before I could think too much about it, I put my gym clothes, in the bathroom. So as soon as I step out of the shower, I could step into the clothes without any pressure to go to the gym. I didn't even think about that yet. Next thing I know, I put my socks on, my socks and shoes on, because that was always part of the routine of when I did go to the gym and dressing for the gym. Then after a while, a few minutes after that, I figured, well, I might as well just go. I'll just do 20 to 30 minutes of weights and go home. Simple, really simple. This is before my regular brain kicked in and said, what are you doing? Get your ass back in the chair. So something small with little to no pressure got me physically into the gym. Next thing I know, I've worked out for about 45 to 50 minutes. How did this happen? Somehow I bypassed my usual thinking pattern and made it in there. And not only did I make it in there, but I did more than I initially intended to do. I mean, remember, my first thought was, I'll just get changed into the clothes. I think it's about those small changes, and I think that can work in some instances because the change is so small, it goes under the radar. There really isn't much to think about. That first small step of just having my gym clothes out in the bathroom to change into after having a shower, that was it. That was all it took to get things into motion. Now momentum can take over. And this is huge. We all know this. We were all taught objects at rest tend to stay at rest, which was my ass on the chair, and objects in motion tend to stay in motion, me getting dressed for the gym. So it's the starting that consumes the most fuel and energy. While I was at rest, it was easier to stay at rest and not get up and do things. There was no inertia. by making that small change, I was able to bring things into motion, however tiny or slow at the start, and bypassed all those negative thoughts that would have normally made me stay at rest. I think until we experience how significant this is and practice it like any other skill, I think I can apply this to other areas like art. So that brings me into the things that I want to work on. I've identified a few barriers in my art practice that I need to work on first. If you follow my Instagram, you might have noticed that I've been doing a lot of pencil sketches on just copy paper, paper from the printer. This is my lowest barrier to entry to get the pencil moving. So the next thing I want to practice is, or the thing that I'm currently practicing is patience and doing difficult things. So I've been practicing increasing my patience to sit and sketch for increasing periods of time. I was at 20 minutes previously before I'd give up. I'm currently up to 60 minutes. I get to this point and I want to move on. I'm exhausted and I'm done with it. If it's not finished, then too bad. The other thing I want to start practicing next is the ability to sketch the same piece in more than one sitting. I feel that these two skills have been holding me back, as well as the pressure, of course, to create a masterpiece, which every time, which is extremely unrealistic at my level anyway. So I'm here to tell myself and anyone else that this might resonate with to give yourself a break mentally and reduce that first step to make it almost seem insignificant and then go from there. Find your own first step and see if you can keep yourself in motion in whatever you want to achieve. To practice those soft skills like patience and consistency, doing things that challenge us in small ways until we have the confidence to keep going. This video was recorded before, the footage was recorded before March 3rd. I have a couple more to go, so I'm not sure how many. I'll have to check. It was nice to look back on the end of this recording and see Jonesy's little head pop up. Sometimes when I was drawing or painting, he would jump up onto my lap, and I absolutely loved having him being a part of my activities. He was really my shadow. He was my little 2-foot shadow. He was always with me throughout the day, whether I moved from room to room. And I think this was recorded a week or so before he left, and I just really miss his presence and affection. I just really miss it. And at least now I think I can start looking back and see little things like this that remind me that of how much he meant to me.